Hello everyone, my name is Varun. I'm working with the BMC software from last 16 years and I've been part of AR server and the ITSM team. Today's webinar is all about FTS search, its configuration and understanding the flow along with some of the troubleshooting techniques. Now let's move to the agenda. In today's webinar, we will be discussing about what is FTS, what is indexer and the search server, configuration of a full text search, what all the administrative work we need to do. Under the feature of FTS, we will see what all things we can search in Smart IT along with the ITSM as a global search, how exactly the end users are using the global search feature, some of the troubleshooting demos, and we will just check some of the references, couple of knowledge articles and the documentations which we can remove in the case of troubleshooting FTS related problems. Now, FTS is a feature of AR server. So whenever we install AR server, FTS gets installed automatically along with the AR server. Basically, FTS is nothing but a keyword based searches. So whatever the fields which we have marked as FTS MFS enabled fields, whatever the keywords, whatever the words it is having, it gets indexed. It gives us the search results faster as compared to the database searches. As I said before, it's completely a word. So whenever the word gets matched, it gives us the results. So let's take a quick example here. So if we search with the word as a fire onto the global search, it results all those words matching with the word fire. For example, like a firewall, a backfire, a firefighter, firecrackers, etc. Now let's try to understand the role of indexer server and the search server. Let's take example. If you are in a server group environment, when you have more than 2 servers, in that case, indexer servers and the search servers can be defined. Now, whenever we will talk about in case of Lucene, in that scenarios, indexer server and the search server is the same. But for our understanding, I have just put these two as a different servers. So the rank 1 server, whenever we configure, it is mainly used for FTS index operations. It is also doing the same part as I mentioned earlier as the local searches for FTS index data. Its job is to perform the indexing. So whenever there is a modification, addition, a deletion of records, it performs the indexing. And the another use is to provide the searches to the search servers. Now, whenever we talk about searches servers, we are absolutely not at all defining any rank for it. Its job is to go to the indexer server and give us the results. Now let's talk about how exactly or what all things are included whenever we configure the full text search in 21.x versions. So number one is adding of FTS license, which will give us the FTS tab into the server information. Along with that, all the configuration can be done after that. Second most important thing is configuration of Elasticsearch. When I say Elasticsearch, there is a separate pod or a container which can be used to perform the indexing and give us the results. And the most important thing is under the AR system server group console, we have a tab with the name FTS management, which can be used to configure your FTS. Now let's try to understand what is this Elasticsearch is. So basically it gives you these 5 highly advantages of using the Elasticsearch engine. So number 1 is it's a distributed and the scalable. Most important thing is high availability. So we can have 2 or 3 Elasticsearch engines so that it can give us the high availability all the time. Multi-tenancy can be configured on the Elasticsearch engine. It's a near a real-time search and it gives us the complex search. That is the one of the biggest advantage of Lucene engine. Now these are the 5 different parameters which we have to configure on the FTS indexer node, where we have assumed that your Elastic container is already being deployed. Now we just need to make sure that FTS indexer will connect to this specific FTS node. On the FTS primary node or the indexer server, we will define FTS type as Elastic. Elasticsearch hostname will be that specific pod where your Elastic node is. Out of box, Elasticsearch port uses 80. Then we have to define the user along with the password so that the connection and the authentication will made it easy. Now under the AR system server group console, under the FTS management, we will always get these type of scenarios where we have a user facing pods, we have the integration pods, and we have a FTS1 and FTS0 pod, out of which there will be only one server which we can treat as is indexer. So if you look at the screenshot, I have put FTS1 as my one of the indexer server, and for the search servers it can be either 1 or it can be either 2. So searches can be done either on 1 or a 2 server. Again, it's a high availability so that it can give us the faster and the quicker results. Now in case of FTS, these are the 2 important parameters whenever we perform the searches. So number 1 is a QBE, which is query by example, and another one is a multi-form search. As you know, in the case of FTS, wildcard always play an important role. So putting a wildcard within the words, after the words, or putting the wildcard before and prior the words give us the different results. Out of box, whenever we configure FTS, MFS enabled field, anywhere is recommended, which can give us a proper search results, where it will put the wildcard at the beginning and end of the word. Equal searches are not widely used because the criteria of using the equal is we have to exactly put same word into the search. Wildcards are not get added automatically into it, so it's not a good practice to use the equal. Leading can be used sometimes if we are aware of that we will be searching the wildcards followed by the word, but again it is not a good idea to use the leading. Anywhere is always will be the better and the recommended option. Now let's try to understand a multi-form search. As word itself indicates, it will be performing a searches onto the multiple forms and it will give us the results. So the typical and the best example is on the ITSM. If you go to the global field on the right hand side top corner on the SHR colon landing console, If we just put a word, for example, test, right? It will give us the result from finding the word test onto the multiple forms, and it will give us the results. It is basically analogous, and it is again the keyword based searches from different forms. Now there will be always question, what are different fields we can put FTS and MFS or MFS only fields. We always use only these four, which is nothing but the character fields, diary fields, attachment fields, and the table fields. Table fields are mainly used in the case of global searches. That is the typical screenshot of any of the character field, where if you open up the database property of that specific character field, we have a property with the name index for FTS. We will get a drop down menu where we have two options, FTS and MFS, FTS only and the MFS field. Just below the data type, there is a QB match. Out of box, it will be always anywhere. Now, let's try to understand. There are different features of FTS. I mean to say features, meaning what all different things which we can search in FTS. Let's take an example from the global search. So all types of incidents and its associations is searchable under the global search, along with the problem, change, work order, knowledge article, and the request number. Say for example, if you are performing a search for the incident, its job is to list incident along with its request number. In case of a smart IT, it gives us two more additional global searches. It helps you to search the assets along with the people record, and all the above application records can be searchable in global search for FTS. So this is the typical example of a global search. If I just type a test onto the right hand side top corner, it gives us the keyword based searches. Under my test columns, under the title, you will see a test word is present, and it managed to search task, a request number, a knowledge article, incident number, problem management, release management, and so on. So it is performing the multi-form search, where it will be finding test word under the different application, and it pulls the data and show us in the specific results. Now, in case of smart IT, if you look at the screenshot, we have a drop down provided where we have option of people along with the assets can be searched. So this is the additional thing smart IT gives us. Apart from that, it gives us three more options. If you would like to search only the knowledge articles, it can be searchable. If you would like to search only tickets, it can be done. And if you would like to find that specific keyword on all the application, we will have all as one of the option provided. Now we are moving towards some of the troubleshooting. But first of all, let's try to understand some of the common problem statements which we always get, and we start investigating based on the problem statement. So number one is FTS indexing is not working. This is very common thing. Global search is not returning all records matching with same word. Then we have a problem where we get the performance issues while performing the FTS searches. We receive some of the common errors when we perform the global search, like FTS indexing is happening, or there are known problem of 873, which give us the information that indexing is not yet completed. Then we will get a incorrect results from the global search. Typical scenario is searches of a knowledge article is not possible, and REQ is searchable but not the fulfillment ID or a vice versa. So these are some of the common problems we always receive, and we have some of the troubleshooting steps already being defined for them. Now, whenever we are performing such a kind of a troubleshooting, we always look at three different forms. First form is AR system metadata colon FT underscore pending. We'll talk about this form, its role. Second form is a server group management, which is nothing but a configuration form for FTS. Third is AR system multi-form search. In case of a global search, this form can be used. Apart from these, SQL logs along with the ARFT index.log can help us to troubleshoot indexing as well as the search related issues. Now let's understand the FTS flow, how exactly FT underscore pending table comes into the picture and what is the role of it. Let's take an example. If you have submitted an incident, as soon as you perform submission, it created entry into the FT underscore pending table into the database for FTS or MFS enabled field. In the FT underscore pending table, these are the 4-5 different types of columns can be used for troubleshooting, as well as we can find what field is getting indexed, what are the schema ID for it, what is the operation type for it, and which index needs to be created. We'll talk about this operation time in a couple of minutes. Now, FT indexer server jobs gets started. It will always check FT underscore pending table, and it looks for the operation type, and it will start creating the entry into the elastic node. As soon as the index gets created, entry from the FT underscore pending table gets deleted. As soon as the entry gets deleted, that specific record is available to search with the help of Elasticsearch method. In my previous slide, I was talking about the different operation types. Let's try to understand what all those, and if we find specific operation type, what exactly it indicates. So first 0 to 8, there are 9, and based on the API call, it performs the indexing. Operation 0, operation 1 is a very common because every day we are creating different entries, different records into the system. So it is nothing but a creation of records in application with the operation type 0. Operation 1, it will do the set entry operation. So whenever a filter performs some kind of a set entry, and whenever there is a modification with respect to that specific FTS MFS enabled field, it will perform the set entry. Delete entry index, that is one of the reason why we have included here is In case of a deletion of the record, we will make sure that the record is also removed from the indexer server. In case of archiving of the records, we never recommend to get the search from the global search for the archived forms. So as soon as the archival is done, it performs the delete entry and its index gets removed from the elastic node. In case of index entry, in the typical scenarios, in case of AR upgrade, it performs the index entry. Delete from index is typically when a form is deleted. Whatever the field is enabled is deleted, or when the FTS enabled field is modified to remove the index properties. Now, whenever we perform FTS re-indexing, in that case, operation type 5 will come into the picture. It can be based on a form level indexing, or it can be a full indexing. Or in case of FTS properties are changed, the global re-indexing is performed on the server. Re-index from since it is one of the application FTS reindex form is the command gets executed. It is again the timestamp after from name. Re-indexing field, this is the typically when FTS index is changed from none to FTS plus MFS or MFS only, or when field is created on join view a vendor form with the FTS index or a category name. Delete field index. Previously we have seen a delete entry. Now there is a delete field index. It is specifically for those categories when field FTS index or category enabled is deleted or name is removed from field properties. Now let's move to the troubleshooting part where we are analyzing the logs. Correct? So this is a typical SQL logs when it performs the FTS search. At the backend, it will be performing a GLE, a WF API call. When I have performed the global search in my previous slide, when I have typed test word, it gives us a multi-form search. As I mentioned earlier, it has to pull the data from a multiple forms and it gives us the results. FTS column will be the keyword we need to look into it to find out if transaction is completed, how many number of records it retrieved and it displayed onto the console. Now this is a simple example of ARFT index.log. I was performing a search and the search was not happening. It was not at all giving us any results because of some of the errors, and we have the error code. Along with that, we have the error message. At the backend, whenever we are doing indexing or the searches, curl command gets executed and it will try to find out what will be my elastic node, what type of operation is this, and why the search result is not giving us any result. Again, in double quotes, error will be the keyword what we need to look into it, and after that it will give us the actual reason. So in this specific scenario, it talks about Elasticsearch server does not support max analyze offset. This is again one of the common error which we receive, and at the front end 873 will be the error code it displayed. Now let's try to understand different use case. We have already seen the common problems, but let's dig down to more use cases where we have to decide whether FTS full indexing is needed or performing a full index onto the form level will help. In the first use case, sometimes we get a ticket mentioning my incident, my work order, my change is searchable. However, its associated request is not searchable, or vice versa. This is very common issues which we get. Then another scenario is specific date, right? My incident, work order, change, or any record, right, created on a specific date is not searchable. My INC 101 is not searchable, but INC 100 or 102 is searchable. So scenario is some of the incident in between are not searchable. In case of incident knowledge change management, we have a title summary which will be getting onto the global search result. It is not showing any values, but it shows only the incident and the knowledge article, or vice versa. Sometimes we'll get only the title and the summary, but we don't get the incident number. Very common issue is my collection directory is corrupted and my FTS search result shows inconsistent results across all the modules. It is not specific to the one module, but all my modules are showing the inconsistent results. Now let's take example. Okay, so in my first three scenarios where it shows middle of the incident is searchable but not the remaining one. Some of my titles are visible but not the incident. In that case, we can just perform some dummy changes onto the MFS enabled fields, which is nothing but the summary or a description. What happens is it will perform FTS re-indexing for only that specific operation, can help us to decide whether do I need to perform only the form level indexing or I need to perform the full level indexing. On the application name, I have already highlighted, it can be incident, problem, change, service request, work orders. Its respective form is help desk form, problem investigation, infrastructure change, SRM request interface, and the work order. And the field where we need to make the dummy changes is description, summary, description, summary, summary. So if you make any dummy changes on it, maybe in front of summary, you just put a dot and save that specific record. At the backend, it will create the entry into the FT underscore pending table. Indexer server will pick it up and it will try to perform the indexing. And after a couple of minutes, if that specific entry is searchable, in that case, you can definitely go ahead with the form level indexing. Now, this is typically the FTS management will give us the facility to perform the form level indexing. So on that specific server, which is FTS indexer, we have to select the form name where we will get the list of all the forms. We have to simply select help desk and we need to perform the re-indexing. On the same panel, it can give us the progress of indexing, how much percentage it is happening, how many records are indexed and how many records are yet to index. So all these information is available on the same console. Now in case of full indexing, where my all the forms are showing the inconsistent results, it is not specific to the one module. Maybe my correction directory is corrupted, something went wrong at my Elasticsearch. Maybe my server is down, not accessible, even though it is high availability. Some of the corruption happened. In that case, I have to go with the full re-indexing. In that case, I have to select that specific server, which is indexer. We have to select the option as a server, and we can simply click on a re-indexing. On the same form, we will also have a facility to perform the re-indexing after some time. Many a times customer will not prefer to perform the indexing during the production hours. They prefer to do it over the weekends or after the production hours. Re-indexing after feature will help you to perform the indexing after the production hours. Now let's talk about one of the most important form, which is RKM colon a source management. It still plays an important role whenever we will be performing any kind of modifications. If you would like to perform the rebuild indexing, nowadays we are not at all going into this specific form to perform the rebuild indexing. We have a FTS management can give us the same facility, but this specific form is still be applicable and useful in such scenarios when form related properties of those are FTS and MFS enabled are changed or removed. In that case, we will simply go ahead and come to this specific form, and we will just proceed with the option as modify. Every step we need to skip. When I mean to say skip is we are not supposed to make any modification into any of the steps. This will automatically performs three important checks. Number one, it will try to look into the form at the developer studio. It will first of all check what all different fields have FTS and MFS field. In this specific screenshot, you will find all those fields are listed. It will be adding FTS MFS for all those fields which are changed. Then it will automatically perform FTS re-indexing, and when it change the status from indexing to ready, it will help us to find all those records onto the global search. So this specific form can be used in case of adding the new field, or if the form is corrupted, MFS FTS property is removed, we can still use this specific form. Okay, so I'm at the last slide of this specific webinar. So these are some of the key points of today's webinar. So we have checked about FTS configuration, some of the troubleshooting techniques. Along with that, we have understand all those backend forms and the FTS flow to troubleshoot the issues. The documentation talks about how you will be configuring the FTS, and this operation type which will be getting added from 0 to 9 operation type. You will find more information into it. Thanks for joining today's webinar. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching it.